next time you need auto parts and accessories, trust the parts professionals at the 108 Seattle O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. Our professional parts people know what it takes to get the job done right. Professionals have counted on O'Reilly Auto Parts for decades. Now you can too. Professional parts people, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to my show. I'm your host, Diana Belleros, award-winning author and best-selling author, Fire and Ice, The Journey to Transformation, and my brand new book, The Light Within. Today, I have for first time, music producer, TV and radio host, Joey Stuckey. He's here today to tell us about his career as a musician and TV and radio host. Joey Stuckey is an award-winning blind guitarist, songwriter, singer, composer, producer, radio and television personality, music columnist, educator, and sound engineer. He is also the official music ambassador for his hometown of Macon, Georgia. Joey's guitar style is reminiscent of rocker Jeff Beck and jazzer Wes Montgomery, while his vocal influence ranged from Mel Torme to Gregg Allman. As an infant, Joey lost his sight and sense of smell as the result of a brain tumor and was introduced to music from an early age. His mother enjoyed opera while his dad enjoyed country music. When he was 13, Stuckey developed pneumonia and eventually had to be homeschooled for an entire year. And he's here today to tell us everything about himself and his career as a musician and TV host. So, hi, Joey Stuckey. How are you today?
I am well, Deanna. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be with you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being on my show. Please tell us about yourself, your career, and anything you would like to share with us.
Absolutely. Well, you'll find that I'm rather verbose, so I like to talk. I guess the thing that I really want to share with your listeners, especially based on the kind of wonderful work that your show is doing, is to talk about the brain tumor I had as an infant and how I live a successful life in spite of those physical limitations and challenges. And I think that's just real important for people to realize, because I firmly believe, and not only do I believe it, but I have proof in my own life that you can do anything you want to do. And that's just so important for people to realize, because a lot of people have talents and they have dreams, and for one reason or another, they don't pursue those things. And I think in life, the only mistakes you can really make is when you don't follow your heart. When you have a conviction in your heart or in your soul that you're supposed to be doing something, or you have a passion for doing something, and you're not doing that, I think that's the only time you can make a mistake in life. And of course, it's never too late to correct that mistake. That's the wonderful thing. But for me, I had a brain tumor as a child, and what that essentially did, I won't get too crazy technical about the medical stuff, but what it basically did was it destroyed my optic nerves. So the outside of my eyes, look fine and are basically functional, but the connector, the nerve connector from my eyes to my brain were destroyed by this tumor. The other thing the tumor did was it destroyed my sense of smell. But now you might think to yourself, wow, this guy can't smell, he can't see, that's a problem. I actually use everything I have to my advantage. So one of the ways I tricked my wife into marriage was to tell her that she would always look good and always smell good no matter what. So I used what I got. But you got to use what you got, right? So now she's always beautiful, and always smells beautiful, always looks beautiful. But the other thing that the brain tumor did, which is a little bit more hard to understand, is it essentially ruined my endocrine system. So one of the challenges I have, besides being blind, is that My body doesn't make adrenaline. My body does not make thyroid. There are several sort of glandular functions that my body doesn't make. And so what that essentially means in practical terms is that if you get a cold, for example, or you're under a lot of stress, you've had to work a lot of late hours, your body will produce more chemicals, for example, adrenaline, to combat that stress. My body does not do that. And being that I'm in the music business and the entertainment business, we've always got tight deadlines, lots of stress, lots of late hours. So one of the challenges I face with that is that while I don't have any diseases per se, I have to take a lot of replacement medicine, try to simulate what those destroyed glands would do for me. And so the problem is that I don't have any sort of biofeedback. So my body doesn't know to make more adrenaline when I'm tired or whatever. So every 3 months I have to go through a full physical, and they try to regulate the dosages of my medicines to keep me feeling good and feeling well through blood work. But that really is a very poor substitute for your body knowing when to make more or less of a certain chemical. So I have to plan my days very carefully. And we were, earlier you were talking about I'm a TV host and a radio host. So my TV show, I have to get up at like 4 a.m. So that I can be functional and feeling good and ready to go by 7 o'clock in the morning. So it takes me a couple of hours to get my medicine in me, to get up, to get running, to get feeling well, to do what I have to do. So those are some challenges I have to work on, making sure that I give myself enough time to take care of myself and to be able to meet the very hectic and punishing schedule that I have. But I have to be very conscious of taking care of myself. And again, if I don't get colds or flus or anything more than the average person, but if I do get one, they're a little harder for me to fight off. So again, I just have to be very cognizant of that, and I have to think about it. And of course, as a blind person, there are several challenges that go with that. For example, I don't have my own transport, just hop in the car and go where I want to go. And so again, I have to plan for making sure I can get where I need to be. Now, all this stuff is challenging, but it's not anything that I haven't been able to overcome. So I travel all over the world. I just got back from the UK. I travel all over North America, Hawaii, all the way to California, Iowa, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, all these different North Carolina, South Carolina, just everywhere you can imagine. So I do all these things that I want to do. I just have to be sort of aware of what makes me a little different, and that is where sort of the inspirational talk part of my mission comes in, because that's what I like to share with people is, how can I do what I want to do despite the limitation that I have? Everyone's got some kind of limitation. It could be financial, it could be confidence, it could be educational. Mine happens to be physical, but regardless of what the limitation is, I am here to say that it can be overcome. And again, if you want to do it bad enough, you should commit to yourself to do it. And I think that's the big thing. And you have to realize that without going too far into my spiritual convictions, but you have to realize that you are a child of God and you are special and you do have worth and you do have a purpose. And once you sort of make that mindset and you understand that and you understand that you're a special person with a special mission that can bless others, I think you will immediately find that you're much happier and you're able to accomplish things you never thought you could do before. So that in a quick nutshell is kind of my mission with you today, is to share some of these stories and these adventures that I've had and how I've overcome some of the challenges to do what I want to do. And I mean, I love my goals and my needs are pretty simple. I love laughter and I love music. And if I have those two things, I'm successful in my mind. And everybody has to determine what makes them successful, and it could be different things. It could be financial success. It could be everyone has a different definition of what success is. And I think you should be honest with yourself about what you consider success. I mean, again, for me, my success is being here with you today, sharing my story, sharing my music, and that's really what I want. And I don't necessarily, I don't really care about limousines and airplanes and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying if someone wants to give me a limousine, I won't take it. But I'm just saying, that's not the overall goal. But anyway, I just, kind of what I wanted to share today is just some of these adventures that I've had, and share with your listeners how important it is to believe in yourself. And I think that success and being able to accomplish things are all a state of mind. And once you believe in yourself, you have made a fundamental transformation in yourself, and it will show up in the rest of your life from that point on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, and I know you know all about that. I mean, I know and it's it's kind of hard to kind of make that choice. I mean, you can understand intellectually, what I'm saying, but to truly be convicted of that idea, to totally let that idea of self-worth, permeate your being is a real important thing. And I think that's another thing that I like to say. It's not, there's a difference between arrogance and believing in yourself. Arrogance is thinking you're better than everybody else, and that's a bad thing. But believing that you're a capable human being that has something to offer the rest of the universe is a good thing. And I meet so many people, that don't have that quality or have had it, and through some sort of terrible event in their lives have lost it. And it's really, like I say, a crucial thing. I spent about 6 months in a wheelchair. Now, I'm in my late 30s. I've been blind since I was about 18 months old, so I am what I consider a professional blind person. I mean, I'm used to it. And I compensate for not being able to see with two really important tools that God blessed me with, and that is my hearing and my memory. I have an excellent memory. So those two things really help me sort of, negate the fact that I'm blind, to sort of put that limitation, cut that limitation down so it's not something I can't overcome. But when I was in a wheelchair in my late 20s for about 6-7 months, as a latent result of the brain tumor, basically what happened was my right hip crumbled into dust. I had something called a vascular necrosis, so my right hip just decayed and just was gone. And I didn't know it at the time. None of my doctors were real aware of it, but the research has developed. Someone with my particular type of brain tumor, that event, that hip, that bone, necrosis is not something that's unusual with someone with my particular type of brain tumor. So, but it was a real surprise to me. I was real shocked. I was misdiagnosed for about a year with bursitis, and again ended up in a wheelchair. And that was real difficult for me because it was something new, and it was something I had not experienced before. Now, if you want to talk about something that's difficult, try rolling yourself around when you can't see where you're going. That is tough. That is tough. And my poor cats and the furniture in my house certainly figured out how tough that was. But one of the things that happened in that period that really solidified my outlook on life, from that moment on, and gave me even more tools for positivity, is I met my wife during that time. Now, when I first met my wife, a friend of ours introduced us, a mutual friend, and at the time I thought to myself, I'm blind, I'm used to that, but I'm also in a wheelchair, not exactly sure what's going on with me health-wise, not really sure this is the time to meet a new woman or to try and go out and date with all these other things going on. So I was a little nervous about it, but I decided that I would just go ahead and take that leap of faith and just do it. And there's a great saying that I have on a magnet on my refrigerator that's sort of a Zen idea, and it is, leap and the net will appear. I think that's a wonderful phrase to keep. Leap and the net will appear. So whenever you feel like you're taking on a new challenge and you're not really sure if you're up to it, you just have that faith and you just go out and do it. and I really believe that if you have that faith that things will work, towards the right purpose and things will turn out okay. They may not turn out the way you expected them, but they will turn out, for the better. So I decided to go ahead and meet this new lady, and literally within about 3 months we were engaged, and we have been married as of June the 21st of this year, 2015. We'll have been married 12 years. So, that was an amazing experience, and my wife, never sees me as a blind person. She didn't, or a sick person. She just saw me as the person that made her life complete and the person that she loved and could share her life with. So that's the thing that I want to really, accentuate as I talk to you and your listeners is that, we need to, I guess, to encapsulate everything I've said for the past 10 minutes, we need to understand our limitations and what they are, but not define ourselves in terms of those limitations. So, yes, understand that you have a limitation, whatever it is, but then don't let that define who you are. And so that's kind of the big thing that I wanted to share.
Thank you so much. It's an amazing story, and congratulations on your marriage.
Oh, thank you. I'm a lucky man.
Yes.
I'm a lucky man. And it's so wonderful when you meet that person, that completes you and that helps you to be a better you. And she's the smartest person I know. And she's a midwife, so she delivers babies for a living. And contrary to popular belief, she's a midwife, but she works for a private doctor's office, but they deliver their babies in the hospital. So they use a lot of the natural childbirth methods, but they're at the hospital in case there is a problem. They've got all the modern tools that modern science can give them, because the ultimate goal is to have a healthy baby, healthy mama, right? So, but she's just super smart. I mean, she has a master's degree in nursing, and and the other thing I love about her, is that she loves people. She's a natural caregiver, and I like that kind of spirit. I really do. So, that's the kind of people I'm attracted to, people that love other people and like to help other people. And it's, I think life's so much better when you surround yourself with those kind of people.
Absolutely. And you should share your stories with overcoming obstacles and whatever happened in your life and you were able to overcome and just swim on the surface. I think it's very important to help others, because the best teachers come from life, always. There is no book where you can go and open and find out answers.
That's so true. I mean, I think for me, I really enjoy living, and I try to stay in a permanent place of wonder. And what I mean by that is I try to be open to new ideas and new thoughts, and I try to be inspired by everything around me. And I just think I'm so fascinated by the world and by other people and how other people live and how they do what they do. So I mean, I'm interested in virtually everything. I really am. I mean, you should see of course, my primary. I do read Braille, but I find it cumbersome. So I prefer to listen to my books in audio format. And you should see the books on my nightstand next to the bed. They're 10 or 15 deep, and I usually read 3 or 4 books at a time. And I read everything from James Bond to the history of the Ottoman Empire to there's a book that I just finished reading called Demon Under the Microscope, which is about the discovery of the sulfa drug, and which is an antibiotic. I read that all the way to things like Tolstoy. So I mean, I just find everything so interesting. And I just finished a really excellent book, which was about the shift of America from the Great Depression era to the industrial military complex, and about Roosevelt and World War II, and it was really yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I say all that to say that I'm just so interested in everything. When you keep yourself open to new ideas and new people and new concepts, and you maintain that sense of wonder about the universe and about the world that we live in, you're going to find that you are inspired more easily, that you inspire others more easily. And, those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. And I also want to say that one of the tricks to maintaining a positive attitude and a positive outlook is to be willing to say that sometimes there are people that do not fit in your lifestyle. If you've got people around you that are always bringing you down, or always telling you can't do something, or are always trying to make you miserable, or they're always miserable, help them if you can, but you don't need to be surrounded by that negativity all the time. And I think a lot of people, are sort of prevented from doing what they want to do by other people, and I don't really understand that at all. If you have a difference of opinion with me, that is perfectly fine, no hard feelings. But don't tell me that I'm blind and I can't do something, because I'm not going to listen. I mean, now I say that, but clearly I shouldn't be driving a car, right? So let me clarify that I mean within reason. If you say, Joey, I don't think you should drive a school bus, I'm going to agree with that. And that's actually a fun segue for me into my current single, because I've got a song out right now called Blind Man Driving. Or actually, because I'm from the South, it's called Blind Man Driving. And the hook of the song, the main hook of the song is loving you is like a blind man driving. So it's a blues tune. And but we just did a video for it. And as a blind person, I never have cared much about music videos. They don't do anything for me. They're not, they don't interest me. But I found that I felt like this song was a wonderful way for me to invite people to laugh with me about being blind. So one of the things that I really want to do with this music video, and I'll send you the link because it's really very funny. But one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to say, I don't subscribe to walking on eggshells because somebody is different. So, a lot of people are very into being politically correct and would call me visually impaired or something like that. And I don't think they the word blind. That is not an offensive word. I'm smart enough to know when somebody's being rude to me and when they're not, right? So, I mean, I believe, you know what I'm saying? I believe we should be respectful to everyone. But I don't think we should be afraid to say, the word blind, or to say the word, to say blind. I am. It is what it is. I am blind, and that's okay. So this video is very humorous, and it actually has, the beginning of the video has me standing on a street corner waiting for a ride to pick me up and take me to play a concert. And I get a phone call. And my ride says I can't make it. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, I don't know. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll figure something out. So I jump out in the middle of the street, and I flag down this car, and I tell this lady, hey, I need your car. And I just sort of pull this very nice lady out of a BMW and say, I'm taking your car. And so I jump in the car, and, it looks like I drive off. Now, obviously, we're crazy, but we're not insane. So I didn't really drive. But it really does look like it's me driving around. And the thing that was so cool is that the sheriff's department in my hometown actually loaned me an officer, Captain Chris Patterson, and his police car. And they chased me. They chased us all. Yeah, isn't that great? And they chased me all around Macon. Yeah. So we had. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Cops, but it looks like a real police chase through my hometown, and it is. I mean, they're actually chasing the car. I mean, obviously I'm not driving, but they're chasing the car all around town, and we're going. It looks like a high-speed car chase. And at the end, the really fun part at the end is you see me jump out of the car and run into the concert hall where the concert's taking place, and the police car pulls up behind me and kind of blocks me in. and then he jumps out of the car and goes running after me, and then I'm on stage playing, and he comes in like he's going to arrest me for driving like a maniac, which clearly a blind person that's how they would drive, like a maniac. So comes in like he's going to arrest me, and then he joins me on stage and starts playing with the band. So he grabs the tambourine and starts playing with the band, and it's fun. It's just so fun.
Yeah.
And but the point of it was to say, the whole point of that video was to say, hey, you know what? Let's laugh at life and be happy. There's plenty of reasons to be sad. There's plenty of reasons to be sad, but me being blind is not one of those reasons. So I didn't mean to talk your ear off about that, but I was just saying that I'm really excited about that. But that's part of the overall message that I'm trying to share is, be comfortable with who you are, and who you are is okay. Whoever you are, whatever you are, that's perfectly fine. And what you want to do is surround yourself with people that understand that who you are is a good thing, and that support you and nurture you. And that's not to say that everybody has to agree with you, or that everyone has to, but it is to say, I have friends that said, I don't, wow, that sounds crazy or whatever. And I'm like, well, it's not. But they say it with love as opposed to saying it, with a mean spirit. And that's what I'm talking about. Just surround yourself with people that are loving and want to see you happy and successful, and appreciate you being part of their lives as much as you appreciate them being part of yours.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you. And I'm going to play this song, Blind Man Diving, right now. And
cool.
For the listeners, yeah, to hear it. Thank you. I don't know. There is a problem with the file. I don't know what's going on.
Oh,
I'm
shoot.
sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay. Well, you can find it on iTunes, and if you go to YouTube and search Joey Stuckey official blind man driving video, you will see it. If you type in Joey Stuckey blind man driving, you will also find about 3 minutes of me driving a four-wheeler on a friend of mine's property in California, and that was kind of the inspiration for the video, because she said to me, "Hey, do you want to drive this four-wheeler?" And I'm like, okay. And it really, honestly, wasn't a good idea. We did it anyway, and my wife is videotaping it with her phone. Me driving around on this four-wheeler, and everybody says, gosh, Joey looks so confident, looks like he knows what he's doing. Joey was terrified. I was scared. And the very first thing I did was I almost flipped it over because I have no idea what I'm doing. And then later on in the video, I almost go into a pond and all this stuff. But it's a very fun video. I shared that video on YouTube because I thought it was so funny. And I got so many people telling me how much it inspired them and how much it made them laugh. And somebody even said, I cried when I saw this because it's so indicative of your personality, and it was so uplifting for me to see you out there doing something like that. And so when I heard all those comments about this little video of me, almost maiming myself on a four-wheeler, that's kind of when the first idea of the blind man driving video sort of started. I was thinking about, would it be fun to show me driving and maybe to have a police chase, and that's kind of where it all started. And I did that little video, that little silly video of me on the four-wheeler was done last year around this time, late May, and the video for Blind Man Driving actually was filmed this February, so it took a while for it to kind of come to fruition. But talking about the song, I was, again, in the United Kingdom back in March, and I was there at the University College of London speaking and performing, sort of what I'm doing now with you, but it was focused specifically for other blind musicians as well. And but my song Blind Man Driving was actually the official, there was a conference called Visually Impaired Musicians Lives Conference, and my song was the actual official theme song of that conference, and that was really a big thrill for me to share it like that. But anyway, it was so amazing to meet all these other people. The conference was really interesting. There were blind and partially sighted people from all over the world, along with sighted music teachers that taught blind students. And so we all got together we're talking from Africa, Australia, South America, North America, Europe. And it was just really amazing to see
and we
all
have
these
a caller
people.
online. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. We have a caller. I think he has a question or she has a question. Hi, how are you?
Hi,
Hello?
Deanna. How are you?
Fine. Thank you. How are you?
Doing good. This is Jennifer Perry.
I knew that
Hi,
voice.
Jennifer. Oh.
I hear that voice in my dreams. Yeah, I hear that voice in my dreams telling me not to do stuff.
Yeah. No, you think of the other Jennifer, your wife. That's who you hear.
Oh, yeah. Well, whatever.
Making the cold sweating nightmares. Anyway, I was calling because I would love, we haven't even had time to really discuss a lot about your trip to England recently, and I just wanted to say to Deanna, I had been hearing about Joey Stuckey for years, even back when in the late 80s when I was in Atlanta and had a cable show, entertainment show. And I always heard about, Joey Stuckey. And then when I finally got to meet him last April, this really explains a lot about him. I met his family, but his mother told me, she said, we explained to him that, Joey, the world's not going to adjust to you because you're blind. You have to adjust to the world.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
So Joey took that and ran with it, okay? Joey took that. So it's not like I've got to learn how to get around by myself and how to, feel around and find things. But he's okay, all right. So he made it work for him, and thank God he did. But because you do so much for other people, Joey, like the trip you took to England, and the people that you produce, the people you teach music to.
Yeah.
Because you're an adjunct at Mercer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
A professor at Mercer.
Yeah, and it's a real honor to do that because that's where I went to school. So it's really cool to have a place you love and a place where you grew, as a person, as a musician, as an artist, and then to be able to come back and give that gift back to the next generation. So I love it. I love it.
So that's all I heard about. The day I met you, you were doing a TV show that morning for the local, I think it's the NBC affiliate or CBS.
NBC, yep.
NBC affiliate. And then after that, you said, well, y'all go talk amongst yourselves. I got my class coming in from Mercer that came into your studio for a final. So okay, we'll get lost. We know what get lost means in any language.
Hey, I brought you lunch. I made it up to you.
You did. Well, actually, yes, you did. You did. You did make it up to me, and just in the conversation alone, and just to see, and then the things on the wall, and knowing the people that you've met, knowing that you worked for Alan, produced with Alan Parsons, and he just turned it over to you and said to the people, whatever this guy says, do it. The famous people you've worked with that really rely on you out of respect, not because we'll be nice to the blind man, but because you've got the ears and you've got the skill, you've got the chops, and I think that's just so fantastic.
I appreciate that, Jennifer. That means a lot because I'll tell you, Alan, that's one of those sort of I can die happy now moments when you get to work with Alan Parsons. I mean, he is absolutely a genius, and it was. I decided, when I came up to work with him, I thought, well, I can be real quiet, which is, as you know, is not my style. Or I can just say what I think, and he'll either love me or hate me, but at least we'll have an honest relationship, And so I just decided to tell him what I thought. And one of the incident you're talking about in particular is where we had a piano part, and the notes were sort of in below middle C. They were in that lower register, and the guitar player on the session was starting to add another guitar part. That really was in that same range of notes, in that same register. And I just said, hey, Alan, I just, for what it's worth, I don't like the guitar part. To me, it makes things muddy here. It makes things less articulate. And I think if he wants to add more guitar, which I love because I'm a guitar player, but it ought to be, something arpeggiated and something at least up one octave from where he's playing now. And Alan stopped a minute, said, you know what? Yeah, what he says is fine. And and then I told him on that same session, I said, I want to let you know, I'm not loving the drums on the choruses. On the verses of the song. I'm not loving the drums. The drummer was a genius. I mean, he was a great drummer. But the part just wasn't working. I thought I felt like it took away. The song we were producing was called Dollar Bill, and the lyrics are some of the best lyrics I have ever heard, and they are just genius. And it's the story of the song is about a day in the life of a dollar bill and all the things this $1 bill accomplished. Bought a man coffee, paid for a cab, tipped a waitress, did all these different things. So it follows the dollar bill all through its life, and it's a very moving song, just beautiful. And I felt like the drums just took away from that in the verses. I felt like the verses should be more sparse, so that the vocal took front and center. And then when the chorus and the bridge came around, I thought the drums would be fine. They would add tension. They would add some dynamics. And I said, I said, Alan, this is the first day we cut them. I said, I don't like them there, just for whatever that's worth. He's like, well, let me think about it. And the next day I came in, he's like, okay, so from now on, whatever he says is fine. Just do that.
Do that.
and he said,
Nashville?
Yeah, it was in Nashville at Ocean Way, which is a killer studio. I mean, that's where all the big stars recorded at Ocean Way. Trisha Yearwood and who named your favorite country artist. Said he just said we talked about it, and he said you made the right decision, and that you had the right decision yesterday, and the reason I think that I came to that decision so quickly is because Alan is super talented, but has also been very blessed because he started off his career working with the Beatles. Now, if you've got any skill at all and you work with the Beatles, you're going to have a decent career. And that's one of those make or break kind of things that can make a career. So Alan has always worked with artists who, for the most part, I'm generalizing here, but for the most part, he's always worked with artists where the budget's not a big deal. We can spend time and play with this and play with that and try this and try that. Well, my clients don't have that luxury. And so I'm used to making decisions very quickly because we don't have time to think about it. And it's not that I'm smarter than Alan Parsons. I'm in no way trying to say that. I'm just saying that I just sort of come to my decisions, very quickly. And, actually, interestingly, when my wife and I first got married, one of the things she had to learn about me was that I come to decisions very quickly. I think about the information I have at hand, and I think about it, and I analyze it, and then I make a decision, and then I'm done, and I don't worry about it anymore. I've made the decision. I made the best decision I could based on the information I had at the time, and I move on. My wife likes to think about things a lot longer than I do, and when we first got married, she was like, it took her a little while, and I mean a little while, maybe a week or two, I'm just saying, but it took her a little while to figure out that I was, in fact, listening to her, and I actually was considering everything she had to say. But I just make my decisions real quickly. And see, that comes from that place of the brain tumor and the health issues I've had as well, because they would say to me, well, Joey, we've got a problem here, and you have a choice, and this choice may mean that you don't make it. There were several instances in my young life as a child, 8 or 9 years old, 12 years old, where they said, well, you may not survive what's about to happen, and here are your choices. And my parents felt like, that I was smart enough and deserved a chance to help make decisions for myself. And so it comes from that perspective as well. I don't try to second guess myself a lot. Because I know that I've done the very best I can do with the information I have. And so that's another reason. But just to add, that's kind of why I make those decisions, rapidly like that. And then I just don't look back. I mean, that's, I made the decision. I did the best I could. It may or may not be right, but I couldn't have really made any other choice at that moment. But anyway, to go to your point, I just want to say that working with Alan Parsons and having him actually, give a flip about what I had to say was amazing. and a truly like a bucket list kind of thing. But to go to the other points we were talking about today, of loving yourself and not letting your limitations defeat you, I think that idea of not overanalyzing and not questioning every decision you make too much is a good thing. I think you can get in your own way and limit yourself when nobody else is. So anyway.
Well, I was going to say, when I read, when Deanna Bella wrote her, Deanna, when you wrote your description of Joey in the show today about,
yes,
being
I did.
the way that you wrote it about blind and not letting anything get in his way or stop him from, doing what he can do. I thought about, I like a lot of people probably tend to forget that about Joey, but now think about it. Once you see the video, Blind Man Driving, where he's driving a car, now next time you hear some lame comedian make a joke about, why do they have things on? Why do they have the the drive up ATM in Braille? What blind person's going to drive up and use it? Then you go, Joey.
Yeah, I have often wondered about why that was there myself.
That's Joey Stuckey. What are you talking?
It's all
he's
for
in a
me.
hurry too. He's got a cop on his tail. He's in a hurry, and he's got a gig to go to.
Yeah, I've always wondered about why they had Braille on the drive-through ATM, but I'll tell you what I figured. I assumed it was some cushy government contract somebody got to put Braille on stuff, and they just started brailing anything they could find.
Joey, you're a doggone genius. Deanna, it's lovely to hear your voice, and I don't want to hog your guest here, and I'm really enjoying the show, so I'll leave you guys alone.
Love you, Jennifer.
Okay,
thank
you
you
so
on.
much, Jennifer.
All right.
Okay,
love you, Joey. Love you, Deanna. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Deanna, I'll tell you, that lady right there is a real treasure. She is so cool.
Yeah, she's amazing. I don't know. I have no words to describe her. She
tells me she's also very beautiful, so we'll just have to trust her on that.
Thank you. So you were talking about England. Can you give us more information? You met a lot of people and you have a lot of impressions there. What exactly happened? And you talk to these people and what they tell you, just everything.
I have to say, as you have now discovered, I'm kind of a quirky guy. I have a kind of a weird sense of humor, and I have always been a fan of the British culture, and I love their comedies in particular. I'm just a huge fan of all the British comedies. There have been so many British musicians that have influenced me as a musician. So to go to England and be able to play my music in a place where, so many people had blessed me with their music. And just a few of my favorite British musicians, the Beatles, of course, that's an easy one. But also a band called the Smiths. And there's another great artist that you probably know, George Michael, who's just an incredible singer. Those are just some of the bands that I love from the UK. So what a thrill it was for me to go to that area that had meant so much to me musically and meant so much to me with the sense of humor. To go there and to be able to talk and laugh and joke with those people and to be able to play not only my music, but also music from my great state of Georgia, playing music. We're the home of Otis Redding, the Allman Brothers, John Mayer. So I played some of those great Georgia songs as well. And it was just a thrill for me to play a Beatles song, in England. I mean, sounds kind of silly, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And so we did a lot of neat things while we were there. The first thing the only thing I don't like about the UK, and I mean I love everything about the UK. I love the people. I love the train stations, the tubes. I love the food. I love the music. But the only thing I don't like is the traffic in London is insane. It is insane. You think it's tough in Seattle. You think it's tough in L.A. And believe me, folks, anyone that lives in L.A. and has been on the 405, you know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
The 405 is crazy. But all of that together is not as crazy as traffic in London. Traffic in London is nuts. I mean, it's here in the United States, let's say that I know that I'm 5 miles away from somewhere. So like my office, my recording studio is 5 miles from my college where I teach. Okay. So if I say, okay, 5 miles, and I double that and turn those into minutes, I can estimate pretty accurately, even with traffic delays or red lights or whatever, that it's going to take me about 10 minutes to get there. That does not work in the UK. At least it doesn't work in London. The traffic is so bad in London that to get 7 miles, 40 minutes. So it's just brutal. It's brutal. And so the very first day we're there, we flew overnight. And so we landed, and from the moment we land, we were running. So we had to run to our flat. We rented a flat for a week. And because it was a lot less expensive to rent a flat than it was to like do a hotel. So we rented a flat, and the flat was about 7 miles and some change from the University College of London, where I was going to be doing most of my speaking. And so we said, okay, we don't really know where we're going, so let's say it's going to take us about 20 minutes to get there. But regardless of whether we took the tube or whether we took a taxi, it still took us about 40 minutes every day just to get there, and then about 40 minutes to get back. And again, we were only about 7 miles away. Well, the first day I was supposed to be part of a South Korean documentary about blind musicians. And it was exciting. It was very, very exciting. And I was late because we had so badly miscalculated how long it was going to take us to get there. But this shows you that God works in mysterious ways. The cool thing was they told me to be there at 3 p.m., but they had mistakenly given me the wrong time. And when they really wanted me there was 4 p.m., I got there at 5 minutes to 4. And so I thought I was like 45 minutes late, but actually I was on time, which was amazing. But I was so stressed out. I was so stressed out, Deanna. You just can't imagine. I was like, oh, my God, I don't know where I'm going. I've got all these people waiting on me. But anyway, we did that the first day, and it was just amazing. And then we went out and had a wonderful meal. And then the next day was the day one of the conference. And so I spent that whole day talking to music educators and to other blind musicians and just sharing stories and swapping ideas and talking about, well, how do you learn music? How do you learn music? And so many people do it so many different ways. Some people read Braille music. Now, the thing about Braille music that's sort of challenging is that it requires you have to read Braille music with both hands. So you can't actually read the music and play at the same time. I guess if you're a singer, you could sing and read at the same time, but you can't play guitar or piano or whatever and read the Braille music at the same time because, again, like I say, to read Braille music, you have to use both hands. Now, the reason you use both hands, the right hand is reading the Braille. Hand is following the right hand and marking your spot. So as you get to the end of a line of Braille, your left hand stays at the end of the first line while your right hand drops down and goes to the beginning of the second line. And if you don't do that, you can't find your place. So, like you, Deanna, you could read a newspaper or whatever, and you can kind of skim and, you can look for headlines and stuff like that. See, with Braille, you don't really have that option. You have to read from the start to the finish. And if you lose your place, you're in trouble. You can't find your place quickly. So anyway, I don't use Braille music because when I was first learning music, there was really no one in my area that taught it. And as I said earlier, I think Braille is wonderful, and it certainly has its place. But just because of the age that I am and the computer era is what I grew up in, I find that having my computer, which has a screen reader, which reads what's on the screen to me, or listening to audio, I find that those are better ways for me personally. Everybody's different. Different things work for different people. For me personally, Braille is not something that's very, very quick. I use Braille to label things. Like I'll label a medicine bottle, for example, with Braille. Or I may label a folder with Braille. But to read a whole book or read a piece of music with Braille, that just has never worked for me personally. So, but we talked about all these different ways. Some people use Braille, some people don't. Very interesting things that people are exploring that I had never even thought of. There was a piano player at the conference who was I don't know if he was totally blind. I'm totally blind. I don't know if he was totally blind or just partially, blind where he couldn't read the music or see the conductor. But he actually was playing in an orchestra. And so he had someone standing next to him, and they had worked out some some tactile cues. So, for example, if the person standing next to him tapped him on the left shoulder, that meant speed up. If they tapped him on the right shoulder, that meant slow down. So just some really interesting ideas of ways to integrate blind people with their sighted counterparts in bands and orchestras and stuff like that. So we did that. I mean, that was that whole day, and then the next day I was the concluding speaker and performer and did that. But there were so many amazing things that happened at that conference. And, again, people from all over the world, a great number from Europe and the United Kingdom, but people from Africa and Greece and North America, South America, just Australia. It was just amazing. It was absolutely amazing to see all these people together in one place, sharing stories, sharing inspiration, sharing ideas, and it was amazing. So that was the first, sort of 3 days of our trip, and then the next day was my official release of the Blind Man Driving single and video, and we did a concert for that at a place called the Ivy House. Ivy House was a 1930s restaurant and pub where people like Elvis Costello and Jeff Beck used to play sort of in the 70s. And it was just an amazing place that the town, the sort of borough that the club was located in. It was in East London, but more specifically in an area called Nuns Head. And in the late, I guess the late 90s or early 2000s, the club was going to be torn down. And the people of that town bought it and saved it and turned it into a community arts center. Isn't that amazing? Turned it into a community arts center during the day, and then at night around 5 or 6 p.m., they opened up the restaurant and the pub again, and they'd have music and all kinds of different events. So it was really the heart and soul of that area. And I was so fortunate to get to use that place as a place to share my music. So many neat people came out, and I made so many new friends and just had such a good time. And it was just me and the guitar. I've got of musicians, as you will see in the Blind Man Driving video. Sometimes I have a band that's 8 or 9 people. Sometimes I have a band that's just 3 or 4 of us. But I also do just guitar and vocal, and that's what I did there because it just made the most sense when you're looking at expenses and airplane tickets and hotel and stuff like that. We decided that the best thing was just to do me and the guitar for this trip. And so sometimes I travel with my full band. Sometimes I travel with just me. Just depends on the budget that I have. But it was a blast. And then, again, as I told you, I was so inspired by England and love it so much. My wife and I stayed. We worked basically 5 days in a row, and then we stayed 4 more days and just had a holiday, just had a vacation, and just visited places. And we went all over. We went to the Sherlock Holmes Museum. We went to the Doctor Who Museum. We're big Doctor Who fans. We're big nerds. So, I've been watching Doctor Who since I was 7 years old. And back then when I was a kid, nobody knew what Doctor Who was. It was a very small number of people watching the show. Now it's this huge thing. But we actually took like a 2.5-hour train ride from London to Cardiff, which is the capital of Wales, just so we could go see the Doctor Who Museum. So we just had an amazing time exploring the country and did that for about 4 days. And if anyone's really, really interested and really wants to see our trip, I actually have another video on YouTube that says Official UK Trip Video Diary. And it's about a 30-minute presentation with photographs and audio clips and video of us, of the trip. So if you really, really want to see it, you can find it. And I think it's interesting, but it may bore you. I'm just warning you ahead of time. It may bore you. But it does have me performing. It does have me speaking. And then it has us just kind of going around having a lot of fun. And it has pictures of us with our new friends. And it was a lot of fun. So it is out there on YouTube. Basically, every in the last 2 or 3 years, I found that my whole life has been put on YouTube. So
Everybody goes there.
Yeah. Just go to YouTube, look for Joey Stuckey. You'll find more than you ever want.
Just share all the media places with the listeners so it's going to be easier for them to find you.
Yeah, so obviously I have a Twitter page. It's J Stuckey Music, and I would totally love to touch base with you. And I've been following you for a while, Deanna. So we've never met before, but I actually knew about your book, the Fire and Ice book. I actually knew about that. I didn't realize you had a new book out, but I've been following you. But yeah, Twitter, Facebook, of course. I have my main website, which is joeystuckey.com. That's JoeyStuckey. And that's sort of a catch-all website that has everything about me on it. Then there are websites that are specific. I've got, if you're interested in me as a producer or a sound engineer or me helping you with your music and your music career, you can check out my recording studio, which is called shadowsoundstudio.com. Productions with an S website that's more about me as a producer. And then I have about several other websites. I've got a radio show called Audio Style that promotes independent music. And then I have a TV show on the local NBC affiliate. It's called Studio 41. So the word studio, the number 41. And those are all different ways you can connect with me. And if I can be of service to anyone out there, if anyone's needs inspiration or needs to hear needs to know that you can do it, and they're looking for inspiration or looking for someone to help give them an idea about how they can be successful, I'm glad to do that. I'm glad to share my story with anyone who's going through a hard time with physical limitations in particular, because having health issues is a very difficult thing, and spirit and body are connected. And so if you're physically kind of having a hard time, spiritually you kind of have a hard time too. I mean, they go hand in hand. So glad to help with that. Glad to help anyone with their music or music career. If I can be of service, I will. If I can't, I'll let you know. And if I know someone that can and it's not me, I'll tell you who that is. So yeah, I'm glad to connect with anybody any way they want.
Are there any concerts or events, speaking events coming soon you would like to share with us also?
Well, yes. I guess I should have also said I probably should try to earn a little bit of money while I'm at it. You can also find my music. You can find my music on Amazon. You can find my music on iTunes. So anywhere that music is sold, especially for independents, you can find that. The things, I've got several interesting things coming up. Just starting in the month of June and July, I've finally convinced some of the people in my town of Macon, Georgia, that we're known for music from Little Richard, Otis Redding, the Allman Brothers, Wet Willie, James Brown, all these people from this area. But most of those big celebrities from Macon and from Middle Georgia, happened 30, 40, 50 years ago. And one of the things that I want to see happen is to see people that are here now, that are so talented now, get the same kind of recognition that those celebrities did from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s. And so, Jason Aldean's a big country star. He's from Macon. I don't know that a lot of people know that. But anyway, we are putting out a Macon music CD. It will come out in September. I'm the producer and music coordinator for that project, and we're having a press conference on Monday, that's June the 8th, and announcing who the winners are. It was a contest. And so we're recording 10 artists from this area that we think represent the talent we have here in town, and it's not going to cost them a dime. They're going to get, free recording time. But the other part of that is we're not selling the CD. We
are almost out of time. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. That's all right, sweetie. Yes. That's good.
Thank you so much for being on my show. Thank you for everything, for empowering, inspiring people. Thank you for everything what you do. And I'm going to post all the songs you send me, and Blind Man Diving from YouTube. The video is going to be on my website, DianaBauerot.com. Everybody can go there and see it. Thank you so much to the listeners who were with us this Friday. Till next Friday. Goodbye. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Deanna. You're awesome.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.